Have you ever stopped to think about where our myths come from today? Who are the epic heroes and the terrifying gods that people are going to remember 100 years from now? Well, we're going to dive into this idea that video games have basically become the new frontier for all that, creating the legends of our time.
Yeah, just think about it for a second. In the past, it was all about stories told around a campfire, or in these huge, epic poems. But the places we all gather have changed. And, well, so have the stories we tell. And this really just says it all, doesn't it? The new campfires are digital, and the tales we share, we're a part of them now. They're interactive. The ancient tradition of storytelling hasn't gone anywhere, it's just evolved. And you could argue it's found its most powerful form inside the virtual worlds of video games.
Okay, so how exactly are these modern myths built? Let's look at one really popular way it's done. Games like Dark Souls, they don't just tell you a story. No, they make you piece it together, from whispers, from the actual environment you're exploring.
This quote here, it just perfectly captures the technique. You get a little glimpse of this massive history, fallen kingdoms, ancient gods, but you never get the whole picture. And it's that mystery that pulls you in. It turns you from someone just watching into an active archaeologist, digging up all the lore. This creates what a lot of designers call the identity of the foreign. See, you're not the prophesied hero who knows everything. You're an outsider, some forgotten thing waking up in a dying world. And that's why your journey feels so personal, because you're this alien watcher discovering the history for the very first time. Your mastery of it all feels earned, not just given to you.
And what's so effective about this whole approach is that the story is accessible on so many different levels. You can have a pretty low engagement, just soaking in the story through the epic boss fights and the world design. Or you can go a little deeper, listen to the dialogues. And for the really dedicated folks, you can read every single item description to piece together the whole tragic history. The myth is there for anyone, no matter how deep they want to dig.
But look, a world is only half the story. The other half is your unique place in it. And this is where we see how gameplay itself becomes a super powerful way to tell a story.
Just take the idea of death. In most games, it's a failure, but here, death has this duality. It's routine, you fully expect it, it's part of the learning process, but it's also rewarding. Every death is a lesson, a way to get currency, to actually progress. You are the only character in the entire world who actually benefits from this endless cycle of dying and coming back.
So ultimately, your sense of being this unique hero doesn't come from some script telling you you're special. It's forged by the systems of the game. The gameplay loop itself is what establishes you as the one meaningful person who can make a change in a world that's just stuck in decay.
But games don't just create totally new myths. They're also really powerful interpreters of our ancient ones, and they often shape how we understand them more than the original texts do. A perfect example? Thor's hammer, Mjolnir.
Thanks to pop culture, pretty much all of us believe only the worthy can lift Mjolnir. But as you'll see in tons of online discussions, that's a modern invention. In the original Norse myths, there's no worthiness enchantment on it at all. In fact, a giant just stole it once with no problem.
And what about its power? We think of the hammer as the source of lightning. But again, the original myths tell a completely different story. The lightning is Thor's innate power. The hammer wasn't made to create it. It was forged to be strong enough to withstand it.
And get this, the original Mjolnir had all these other fascinating features. Its handle was famously short because Loki, disguised as a fly, messed up its creation. It could shrink down to fit inside a shirt, and it could even bring Thor's goats back to life after he ate them for dinner. Modern stories just pick and choose what they like, creating a whole new, streamlined myth for our time.
So if games can reshape old gods, you can bet they can forge new ones. This is where we see entirely new, complex pantheons being built from the ground up.
So, meet Knall. This guy isn't from some ancient lore, he's a modern creation from the Marvel Universe, and now he's showing up in games. He's an eldritch god of darkness, born from the void before the Big Bang. Now that's a heck of an origin story. And his powers are, as you'd expect, terrifying. He creates and commands the symbiotes, he manipulates the living darkness, he wields a sword that killed a celestial, and he's basically an immortal, divine being. These new gods are given incredible depth and scale.
But what's really crucial here is that these new gods aren't just entries in a wiki somewhere, they are dramatic forces, beings with immense power and personality that you, the player, have to confront directly. The myth becomes a tangible, terrifying reality. The moments you finally meet them are unforgettable. When Millennia from Elden Ring says this, it is not an empty threat. It's a promise. And for any player who's faced her, it's a chillingly accurate one.
Or take this line from Godfrey. It signals a complete shift in the entire battle. That thin layer of nobility is just gone. And now you're facing a pure primal warrior. This isn't just a boss fight. It's a dramatic turning point in a legend's own story.
And this iconic line from Godric. This is the moment a pathetic, grasping demigod tries to make himself legendary. These lines become touchstones for the community. They get quoted, they get memed, and they cement their place in the modern canon.
And all of that leads to the final, crucial element here, the community. Fans treat these new characters with the same analytical passion that scholars used to reserve for the Greek and Norse pantheons.
You see this perfectly in the culture of power scaling on forums like Reddit. You'll find these intense debates. Could the Hulk beat Slave Knight Gale? Could Thor defeat the Soul of Cinder? This is basically a modern form of myth-making, an attempt to understand these figures, their strengths, and their place in this new shared pantheon.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway. Whether we're analyzing their lore, debating their power, or just sharing the epic story of how we finally defeated them, we treat these digital legends with the same reverence as the myths of old. They have become our modern mythology.
Which leaves us with one final thought. If our interactive digital worlds have already become such powerful engines for creating shared stories and modern legends, what epic will we, as players and storytellers, decide to write next?